Okay, I'm going to show you how I made the O-gauge cars out of the narrow gauge kit from clevermodels.net. This is what you get in the clevermodels.net. It's called Critters and Cars' collection. This is the Mayfield Dairy Farms, which I really like the graphics on this, but it's kind of difficult to show how to do this when you have to do the graphics. So I'm just going to give you an overall how I do take it from the narrow gauge to the O gauge. Now, this is what you get from Clever Models. These are the pages you get. There's 4 of them for the kit. I consider this like the body, the sides. This is the chassis. This is the inside details, the roof, and more inside details, and this is part of the chassis, the long beams on the chassis. So I start with this one, and I make them 9 inches long. So I'll, in the GIMP program, gimp.org, I've been using that program for a long time for graphics. I'll copy this piece onto another part, and then I stretch it out till it's 9 inches. Also make it wider so that it's about 2 1/16 or 2 1/8, about 2 1/8. Make it that wide. So all I did on this was stretch it out because it doesn't really matter if it's proportional. It's not really going to be seen. But I noticed when I did the narrow gauge cars that this setup, the way that Clever Models has this for the chassis, makes that pretty strong and rigid. So I just used that the same way and stretched it out and made it bigger, so it's 9 inches by 2 1/8. Then this is the plank. I copied this, stretched it out the same so that it would fit this part. And since I'm not having the couplers on here, they're going to be attached to the trucks, I went ahead and used these end plates for the end pieces. Now for the floor, I didn't do it interior and I wasn't planning on it, but for the floor I copied this piece, and instead of stretching it out, I just copied it to fill up this area. I think I stretched it wide so it would be 2 1/8 wide, and then copied the pieces to fill in that for the floor. And there's my long beams for the putting this together. Is after you get this part done, you've got a flat car that you can use just as a flat car or not. This is pretty much the same chassis that I've used for all the box cars, so I didn't have to like redo everything every time I did this. I like changed things, made some upgrades each time I did another box car. But one of the things that I want to do that I haven't done yet is I want to fill in the gap between the trucks by bringing this down and making that so it comes out like that. It's probably not a good way to show, but that's one of the things I want to do. Now fill in the trucks, in between the trucks, a gap in there. So that's another thing I'm going to do. So after I get this part done to where I know how big it's going to be and get the chassis done, then I start working on the body. So on this one, I really like the graphics on the Mayfield Dairy Farms, so I wanted to keep those, which means you can't just stretch that out, else it would make those look funny. So I have the distance. I got 9 inches, and then the height of it I don't change. It stays the same as the narrow gauge. So I copied that on there. In fact, I can show you real quick because I have an extra copy here. You see, you can, if you do this in the graphics program, by selecting it and then copying and pasting it. You can see I just put that on there. Then copy more of the siding to fill in the spaces there. I did the same thing for all that, and then got two sides. Now for the end pieces, I copied this piece out and copied it up to here, and then I just stretched it so that it would be 2 1/8, like that. So I just stretched it out, and then you can see on these that the width of the siding is a little bit fatter than this, but it's not really noticeable. So just by stretching those out, I get the percentage of how wide it is when I stretch it, and then I use that same percentage to do all of the other pieces that are going to be that wide. That way you don't have to measure each of these. You can just use the same percentage when you scale it. But I only scale the width, not the height. It's still the same height as the side walls. And I didn't plan on doing an interior because I had I want to make sure that the walls were straight. So instead of having an interior, I just put wall stiffeners in. So what I did was I printed this sheet again onto 110-pound cardstock, and then I cut those pieces out and folded them and used them as interior stiffeners. So I'm thinking on the next one that I do, though, I'm going to come up with a trick to do an interior on it and keep the walls stiff. Now I used 130-pound cardstock on the walls and the chassis. Well, really everything. But only I used like 110-pound cardstock on some of the smaller details. I didn't do all of it with 130-pound because that's kind of fat for the rails and these bolts and things. Looks kind of out of scale. So that's how I did it. Let me show you how I put the trucks on to the chassis. This truck is mounted to craft plywood that's a 1/16 inch thick and a 1 1/4 inch square, and then it's glued to the bottom of the Boxcar. But I'm not going to buy any more of these. It's a much better deal to get the Menards flat cars in the dealer pack, and then just build box cars or whatever kind of cars you're going to build on top of them. So that's what I'll be doing. I'm going to show you some videos of the Boxcar running around the unfinished scenery layout. I'm going to have to work on that next. But I hope this is helpful, and hope you try this. It's really cool. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button, because I got some good ideas for some scenery, including I'm thinking about printing some railroad ties from a tube track. So be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button. God bless. Thanks for watching.